We live in a country where a lot of people own a lot of guns. And most people in this country, if they don't own a gun, they live with somebody that owns a gun. And more so, millions and millions and millions and millions of new gun owners every single year. So why are so many people buying guns? Because there's more guns being sold this year than there were last year, and that year more than the year before. Sometimes by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands. Why are people buying so many guns? Well, according to a recent survey, there's a good reason for it. 71% of people that bought a gun bought it for self-defense. Now, I know as you watch this video, you're kind of saying, well, duh, of course they bought it for self-defense. But, you know, the reality is we live in a country that is so dangerous that millions and millions and millions of people every single year are saying, you know what, I need a gun. Like, in order for me to be safe here, I need a gun. This is very important because meanwhile, what we're dealing with is 50% of the country saying, well, wait a second, you don't need guns. You don't need guns. Well, if we didn't need guns, why is it so darn dangerous here? Of course you need guns. Like, it's probably more dangerous now than it was during the Wild West. Of course we need guns. So I think it's important to look at the data, because oftentimes whenever people make arguments about guns to or against, they'll say, well, you know, or usually against, they'll say stuff like, well, you don't need this kind of gun to go hunt a deer. Well, guess what? Only 19% of people that bought guns bought them for hunting. The other percent bought them for collectibles, and then 71% bought them for self-defense. That's why people are buying guns. Almost every single gun I buy is for self-defense, or, you know, it'll fall in one of those. Let's say if I had 10 guns, 7 of them are for self-defense. So I think those numbers are pretty close. You know, I have a few for collection and a few for hunting. If I had 10 guns. This is very important that we begin to kind of really look at, well, why are people buying so many guns in this country? Meanwhile, 50% of the country, many of them own guns, by the way, don't want you to have guns. It's really a peculiar thing, and definitely don't want you to have certain types of guns, for sure. You know, and when they say you should have guns, you know, oftentimes they bring up things like double-barrel shotguns and 6-shot revolvers and things like that. Like, you should have stuff like that. That's, you know, muskets and things like that. You should have that. Because that's what the Second Amendment was written for, was so we could have muskets, because that's what they used back then. But, you know, reminder, muskets, which was the common household item, was a battle rifle is what it was. So it was very common that every household, when the Second Amendment was written, that every household in America had a battle rifle in it. And that should be the case in this country. I think you'd have less of this problem if people were responsible first and foremost and locked their guns up. And if people were very well armed, I think you'd, you know, less soft targets around. I think you'd find a whole different story, because most people that do some of these terrible things they're cowards. They're all cowards. This is their cowardly way of feeling strong. So, you know, they're not going to go after somebody that is strong. They're going to go after something that is weak and soft, as we see, you know, all the time. So that's why it is important that we see the numbers of 71% of this country buying guns for self-defense. So there you go. Any thoughts or insight on any of that, definitely put in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel through Patreon. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.